it's softly spoken, with no strings tying you to me. I'm happy in your company with no emotion, 'cause my love deserves to be free. I never wanna look.
Hey guys, so for this tutorial, I'm going to be using my size 3.5mm hook and my category 4 yarn. So to get started, I'm going to be using the chainless foundation double crochet. So for the chainless foundation double crochet, you're going to start by making a slip knot. And you're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're going to yarn over and put your hook into the first stitch. Yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops left. Yarn over and pull through the first loop. You have 3 loops left. Yarn over and pull through the next 2. You have 2 loops left. Yarn over and pull through. Yarn over and go back into the previous double crochet. So you're going to put your hook into the bottom of the previous double crochet. Yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops left. Yarn over and pull through the first one. You have 3 loops left. Yarn over and pull through the next 2. You have 2 left. Yarn over and pull through. So you're going to yarn over and put your hook into the bottom of the previous double crochet you just did. Yarn over and pull through. You have 3 loops left. Yarn over and pull through the first loop. You have 3 left. Yarn over and pull through the next 2. You have 2 loops left. Yarn over and pull through. So I'm going to do this until I get the length I want for my foundation chain. I did a total of 100 chain for the foundation chain. Now moving on to the first row, I'm going to chain 3 and turn over. So this chain 3 serves as our first double crochet. Now I'm going to skip the first stitch that is connected to this chain 3 space, to this chain 3, and go over to the next stitch. And I'm going to go in with 1 double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2, skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and go into the third chain with 1 double crochet. I'm going to put 1 double crochet in the next chain. Chain 2, skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and go in with 1 double crochet in the next 2 chains. So this is what the pattern is looking like. Chain 2, skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and go into the third chain with 1 double crochet, and the next chain with 1 double crochet. Chain 2, skip 2 chains, and go into the next 2 chains with 1 double crochet, 1 and 2. Chain 2, skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and go into the next 2 chains with 1 double crochet. Chain 2, skip 2 chains, and go into the next 2 chains with 1 double crochet. So you're going to do this till you get to the end of this row. Chain 2, skip 2 chains, and go into the next 2 chains with 1 double crochet. So I've come to the end of round 2. For round 3, I'm going to chain 3, and I'm going to put 2 double crochet into the chain 3 space. So 1, 2, chain 2, skip the double crochet stitches and go into the chain 2 space with 2 double crochet. So I'm repeating round 2 for round 3 and the rest of the rounds till I get the length I want. Chain 2, skip the double crochet stitches and go into the chain 2 space with 2 double crochet, chain 2, skip the double crochet stitches and go into the chain 2 space with 2 double crochet, chain 2, skip the double crochet stitches and go into the chain 2 space with 2 double crochet. So I'm just going to continue with this till I get the length I want, and when I get to this end, I'm going to chain 3, turn over and put 2 double crochet in the chain 2 space. So I'm just going to continue with this pattern till I get the length I want, and when I do this for a few more rows, I'm going to let you guys know how many rows I did before we go over to the upper part of the panel. So you're just going to chain 2, skip the 2 double crochet and go into the chain 2 space with 2 double crochet. So guys, I did 28 rows, and as you can see, I already used my stitch marker to mark off the middle of where I want my button area to be. So I just folded this into half and marked up the middle, and then decided where I wanted the button area to be. So you could make this wider, or you can make it, you know, a little bit slimmer, but I just marked the middle and marked the 3 stitches in the middle and used my stitch marker to mark that. So now I'm going to do the next few rows. So I'm just going to chain 2, turn over, and I'm going to continue with 2 double crochet in each stitch. So 2 double crochet, chain 2, and put 2 double crochet in the next chain 2 space, chain 2, and put 2 double crochet in the next chain 2 space. So I'm going to continue with this till I get to where my stitch marker is. So chain 2 and 2 double crochet in the next chain 2 space. Gotten to where my stitch marker is, I'm just going to chain 2 and turn over, and I'm going to put 2 double crochet in the next stitch. So this area between the 2 stitch marker is going to be left empty, and I'm just going to go back and forth with the pattern. So I'm going to chain 2 and put 2 double crochet in the next chain 2 space. So I've come to the end of this row, and I'm going to chain 2 and turn over, and I'm going to continue with this pattern till I get the length I want, and then I'm going to move over to the other panel. So I'm just going to do this till I get the length I want, and I'm going to let you guys know how many rows I did. So we're just going to continue with the pattern we've been doing. So I'm going to chain 2 and continue with 2 double crochet in the next chain 2 space, chain 2, and put 2 double crochet in the next chain 2 space. So I did 25 rows for this panel. Now I'm going to do the other panel. So I'm just going to tie my yarn to this end. And I'm just going to chain 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to put 2 double crochet in the next chain 2 space. So we're just repeating the pattern we've been doing for the other rows. I'm just going in with 2 double crochet, chain 2, and 2 double crochet in the next chain 2 space. Chain 2 and 2 double crochet in the next chain 2 space. So I've gotten to where my stitch marker is. I'm just going to chain 2 and turn over. And I'm going to put 2 double crochet in the chain 2 space. So I'm going to do this for 25 rows because I did this for 25 rows. So I'm just going to do this one for 25 rows and then I'll show you guys what to do in the space between the 2 panels. So I'm done with the other panel, and as you can see, I already did the button area for this part of the panel. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to do this area for this other side. So it's basically the same thing I'm going to be doing. So I'm just going to tie my yarn to this end. Now I'm going to be putting 1 single crochet along this the stitches. So I'm just going to chain 1 and I'm going to go in with 1 single crochet. So I'm just putting my hook into any hole that my hook can enter. I'm just going in with 1 single crochet. So now I've gotten to the stitch where our stitch marker is, and I'm just going to go in with 1 single crochet and then I'm going to slip stitch. Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn over, and I'm going to be putting 1 double crochet in the single crochet stitch we just did. So I'm going in with one double crochet into the single crochet stitches. To the end of this row, I'm going to chain one and turn over, and I'm going to put one double crochet in each stitch till I get to this end. So I'm just going in with one double crochet. So on getting to this end, I'm just going to go in with my last double crochet, and then I'm going to slip stitch. So and then I'm just going to slip stitch. I'm going to chain one, turn over, and I'm going to put one double crochet in each stitch. Till I get to the other end. I've gotten to this end, and I'm going to do our last row of double crochet. So I'm going to chain one and turn over, and I'm going to put one double crochet in each stitch. So I'm getting to this end, I'm just going to go in with our last double crochet, and then I'm going to slip stitch, and I'm just going to yarn over and fasten off and cut off the yarn. So that's it for the button area. I did 4 rows, and now I'm going to move on to the back panel. So for the back panel, I'm going to be doing the same amount of rows I did for the front panel, and I'm going to be working with the chainless foundation double crochet stitch. So for the chainless foundation double crochet stitch, you're going to start by making a slip stitch and you're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you're going to yarn over and pull your hook into the first chain. Yarn over and pull through. You have 3 left. You're going to yarn over and pull through the first loop. You have 3 left. You're going to yarn over and pull through the next 2 loops. You have 2 left. You're going to yarn over and pull through 2. Now you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull your hook into the chain, the end of the chain we just did. Now I'm going to yarn over and pull through. You have 2 left. You're going to yarn over and pull through the first loop. You have 3 left. You're going to yarn over and pull through the next 2. You have 2 left. You're going to yarn over and pull through. Now you're going to yarn over and pull your hook into the loop of the previous chain we just did. So we are putting our hook into this loop. Yarn over and pull your hook into this previous loop. Yarn over and pull through. You have 3 left. Yarn over and pull through the first loop. You have 3 left. Yarn over and pull through the next 2. You have 2 left. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull your hook into the loop of the previous stitch we just did. Yarn over and pull through. You have 3 left. Yarn over and pull through the first loop. You have 3 left. Yarn over and pull through the next 2. You have 2 left. Yarn over and pull through 2. Yarn over and pull your hook into the previous the loop of the previous stitch you just did. You have 3. Yarn over and pull through the first loop. You have 3 left. Yarn over and pull through the next 2. You have 2 left. Yarn over and pull through 2. So I'm going to do this for, since I did 100 stitch for the first, so since I did 100 chains for the front panel, I'm going to do 100 chains for the back panel. So I'm going to do this like get 100 chains. So you're just going to do this so you get the desired width you want for your gown top. So I did a total of 100 chains of the chainless foundation double crochet chain. Now for the first row, I'm going to chain 3 and this serves as our first double crochet. Now I'm going to put 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So that's 2 double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2 and skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and I'm going to put 2 double crochet in the third chain. I'm going to chain 2, skip 2 chains and put 2 double crochet in the third chain. Chain 2, skip 2 chains and put 2 double crochet in the third chain. So I'm doing the same pattern I did for the front panel. Chain 2, skip 2 chains and put 2 double crochet in the third chain. So I'm going to continue with this pattern till I get the length I want, and I'm going to let you guys know how many rows I did. So the main reason I'm not really going to like repeat is because I already showed you guys what to do for the front panel, and while repeating the same thing we did for the front panel. So I'm just going to do this till I get the amount of rows I need, and then I'm going to let you guys know how many rows I did. But you're going to just chain 2, skip 2 chains and put 2 double crochet in the next chain, and then when you get to this end you're going to chain 2 and put 2 double crochet in the chain 2 space. Done with the back panel, and I marked off 12 stitches or 12 mesh stitches away from the end to do the shoulder panel, and I did the same for the other end. So I just did one row of this on both sides, and I also did that for the front panel. So I just marked off 12 stitches away from the end, and I did it on both sides of the front panel. Now I'm just going to be joining these two panels together. So I'm going to be joining the back and the front panel together. I'm going to join these parts of the back and the front panel together. So I have to make sure these two are well placed together, and I'm just going to tie my yarn. Now I'm just going to join the two panels together with a single crochet. So I'm just going to put one single crochet into the stitches, trying to join them together, and just have to make sure they are well placed together so that it doesn't look rough. So I'm just going in with one single crochet. I just finished joining the front and the back panel together, and this is what the gown is looking like. Now moving on to the side, I'm just going to stitch up. So I already used my stitch marker to mark off where I want my armhole to be. So you could make this you can measure your arm and decide how free or how tight you want the armhole to be. Now I'm just going to stitch up the side until I get to this area where my stitch marker is. So I'm going to tie my yarn to this end. And I'm just going to stitch both sides together with one single crochet. So when stitching the two sides, you have to make sure they are well balanced so it doesn't overlap or it doesn't look too rough. So you have to make sure you place them really well, and I'm just going in with one single crochet into any stitch or holes that my hook can enter. I just finished stitching up the two panels together. Now moving on to the neckline, I'm going to tie my yarn on this end where we did this button area. So I'm just going to tie my yarn on this end. And I'm going to chain one. Now I'm going to be going around the neckline with one double crochet. So I'm going to be putting one double crochet in each stitch. So I'm just working in one double crochet. Now coming to this area where we did our chain 2 spaces, I'm going to be putting in 2 double crochet, and then I'm going to go in with 1 double crochet in each of these double crochet stitches, then 2 double crochet in the chain 2 space. So the main reason we are putting 2 double crochet in the chain 2 space is so that we don't have holes in the middle of the stitches. We want the stitches to look a bit tight and neat. So I'm just going in with 1 double crochet around the neckline and 2 double crochet in the chain 2 space. So I'm just going to continue with 1 double crochet till I get to this other end of the other button area, and then I'll show you guys what to do next. I just got to this other end. Now I'm just going to chain 3, 1, 2. So I just got to this other end of the button area. Now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to turn over. I'm going to be putting in 1 double crochet in the rest of the stitches. So I'm just going in with 1 double crochet on top of the double crochet we just did now, or on top of the double crochet we did in the previous row, and I'm just putting in 1 double crochet. So I'm going to do this till I get the length I want my neckline to be, and I'm going to let you guys know how many rows of double crochet I did. So I'm just going to be putting in 1 double crochet till I get to this end, and I'm going to chain 3, turn over, and continue with 1 double crochet in the rest of the stitches. And I'm going to do this for a few more rows. So I'm going to let you guys know how many rows I did when I'm done with the neckline. I'm done with the neckline, and I did a total of 4 rows of double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you want your neckline to be a bit turtleneck, you can go for a longer neckline, or you can go for a shorter neckline, depending on how you want your neckline to be. So you can go for like a higher row, or you can just do 1 or 2 rows, but I did 4 rows. Now moving on to the sleeve. So I already did 1 sleeve, and I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of double crochet. So I'm going to show you guys how I did the sleeve on this other hand. So I'm going to tie my yarn where we put our stitch marker to mark off the body area. So I'm just going to remove the stitch marker, and I'm going to tie my yarn in this area. So I'm just tying my yarn on one end. I'm going to chain 1. Now I'm going to be putting 1 double crochet in each stitch. So I'm going in with 1 double crochet. So I'm just putting my hook into any hole that my hook can enter, and I'm going in with 1 double crochet. So I'm sorry for that noise, but I'm just going in with 1 double crochet. So we're just repeating what we did for the neckline. We are going in with 1 double crochet in each stitch, and since there's no particular stitch, I'm just putting my hook into random holes that my hook can enter. I'm done going around with 1 double crochet in each stitch. Now I'm going to chain 1 and continue with 1 double crochet in each stitch. So for the second row, I'm just going around with 1 double crochet. So I'm just putting in one double crochet on top of the double crochet we did in the previous row. So I'm going to do this for 5 rows because that's the amount of rows I did for this sleeve, and I'm just going to go around for 5 rows and then I'll show you guys how to do the button area of the gown. Done with the sleeves of the gown, and I did 5 rows for both sleeves, 5 rows of double crochet for both sleeves. Now moving on to the button area. For the button area, I'm just going to put these 2 ends together. This area, I'm going to join them together. So I'm going to turn it over just so I can see what I'm doing. Like I have to make sure they are together because I'm going to sew this end together. So I'm just going to make sure I place them really well, and I'm going to stitch them together from the back. So I already threaded my needle and I'm just going to make sure I stitch the ends. Done stitching the 2 ends together, so I just stitch them together so that this is going to be overlapping the other button area. Now I'm going to put my buttons. So I have 5 buttons that I want to use, and I'm just going to place the buttons where I want them to be. So I'm just going to start by joining the buttons to the button area. So I'm going to decide where I want to put my button, and I'm going to attach the button to the gown. So the first button is going to this end, so I'm just going to sew in the button. So I'm just going to do this off camera because working with this button is a bit difficult and I don't want to end up breaking my fingers. So I'm just going to do the rest of the buttons off camera. But then you're going to decide where you want to put your buttons, and then you're going to stitch up the button with a needle and thread. I'm done with the chest dress, and I used 5 buttons for mine. So you can decide to use the button or not. It's optional. It depends on how you like your dress shirt, and you can pair this with a jeans or you can wear it as a gown. It depends on you. So if there's anything you didn't understand in the tutorial, you can leave a comment down in the comment section and I'm definitely going to reply you. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. So I'm going to see you guys in my next tutorial.
September we met, I could tell by your smile. You hadn't been with a good girl like me in a while. Yeah, you were impressed, couldn't leave me alone. Text me every time that you pick up the phone. And I had control on the driver's seat, but my hands are slipping off the wheel. Now the tables have turned.